How are you there? How are you there? I must do the will of God. It's now late. When I woke up in the morning, the Lord gave me an urgent message, but I didn't quite say it very urgently. Anyway, I had a dream. At the end of the dream, I saw the number 888 slash quadruple nine. So it's 888 slash 9999. I'm not someone who is big with angel numbers, but I've seen that around. So when I checked the meaning of 888, some interpretations say it is the number of Christ. Some interpretations say it means the beginning of something or the end of something. Some kind of a transition of some sort. And then quadruple nine, I looked up, I think it meant more or less the same thing. It could mean other things that I do not know. But I'm not into astrology, angel numbers, and other things of that nature. But God is a God of all things. There is a part in God that expresses itself as the Lord of Lords. What that means is that whether you are a Christian, you are a Hindu, you are a Muslim, you are whatever, there is a part in Christ or in God. Actually, Christ is a part in God. There is a part in God that is the Lord of Lords. Surprisingly, Christ is the Lord of Lords. That begins to own everything. It doesn't matter what you have, what religion you are, whatever nature you are, as long as you are within the framework of creation, which is all things. God takes ownership and uses it anytime He wants to, whichever way He wants to use it. So, having said that, I had a dream in which uh, the dream was detailed, but I forgot the details of the dream. What I remember is those numbers, and also God said, "Tell them urgently," and of which now I'm telling you late in the day, because I was trying the whole day to remember what the dream was about, and also the things that God said just after when I woke up. Well, the gist of the dream is like this: UAE, GCC, Saudi Arabia. Does it ring a bell? It seems like Harare has pivoted uh, to towards Saudi Arabia or the whole GCC framework. Not now, but in at some point. I do not know when. It seems like ZANU PF or Harare has been sponsored by the Saudi Arabians or other members of the GCC. So we're not just influenced by China or Russia, but also Saudi Arabia. However, in the dream, that is where 888 enters. In the dream, and God said, "Tell them urgently." It seems like there is a sponsor. God showed me a Saudi Arabian sponsor. It could be another country within the GCC if it's not Saudi Arabia, but he was an Arabic man. You understand? And God said to me that this man has been sponsoring ZANU PF. It might just mean the man personally, or it might represent the whole GCC network of influence in Harare. And God said to me that they have grown impatient with ZANU PF. And therefore, they are starting something new. They are sponsoring something new, which means that they will sponsor something which is opposite to ZANU PF. This is like, as I've been telling you, that the ZANU PF people have been ignoring God, and God is fighting the people in ZANU PF. So their major sponsor, which is Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia and the GCC nations. I do not know the exact composition of it, but that pivot to the GCC is crumbling. God showed me that the support of the ZANU-PF regime from the GCC nations or Saudi Arabia is is coming to an end. Hence, you get the number 888, which is it represents the death of something and the new beginning of something else. So God showed me that these Saudi Arabians who are interested in Zimbabwe for strategic reasons, which are the interests of the GCC nations in their strategy for global influence, which is a good thing, not a bad thing at all. Uh, they have grown impatient with ZANU PF, and therefore God showed me that whether they are starting or they've already started sponsoring other people whose views are divergent from those of ZANU PF, or rather sponsoring other political players that will that will replace those that are in power right now. You see, replacing people in power is not regime change for Western don't that propaganda. No, nobody has the right to be in power forever. The country is not yours. The country belongs to 15 million Zimbabweans, and any Zimbabwean can choose to be in power, can want to be voted and be in power and run the country. There's nothing like country being sold. To understand. So I just want to clarify that propaganda line that they like to use when they say that agent of the West, people sponsored by foreign what, they have been sponsored by the Saudi Arabians, okay? Whether they are Saudi Arabians or they are Kuwait or they are UAE or whatever, but that's people from the GCC. And God showed me this morning, he said it's an agent, tell them that they have gone fed up with ZANU PF, and it is part of God's strategy of attacking ZANU PF that he has been ignoring God. So he is taking out your major sponsorship, your major sponsors, because Russia now you cannot sponsor you, they're busy with the war. The Americans they don't sponsor you because they even got the sanctions of you on you. The Chinese, I do not know what's going on in there, but God showed me that one of the major sponsors of ZANU PF or certain function in the ZANU PF has been the Saudi Arabians, and they have grown impatient with them, and now they are putting their money elsewhere. You understand? So God was showing me this man putting his money elsewhere, which means it's representing the whole GCC bloc. Well, the GCC, some people accuse the GCC in what's that country? That Gaddafi's country in Libya, for sponsoring the governing Libyans uh, and the rebels in there. And for some people, they say that because of that, the GCC purpose war. You know, this is the strategy that the Russians use. The Russians and the Americans, they use the same strategy. They go to countries, sponsor diverging views, and cause them to fight. Whilst they are fighting, they will be just like destroying the nation. But uh, there is not much evidence that the GCC is like that. They, first of all, in their own nations, we almost see, especially in the Saudi kingdom, Saudi Arabia, you see with Saudi Aramco and the way that they run their kingdom, the wealth of that nation has um, what's the word I'm looking for? The wealth is filtered into the broader population. So they have not said, okay, we are the Saudi royals, all the wealth is ours. To hell with the rest of to hell with the rest of the Saudi Arabians. No, Saudi Arabians have got a fairly better life than Americans. You understand? So the population in the GCC, because of their oil wealth, are better are having better quality of lives. I know that I work in Cape Town, I work in a Muslim environment. I work with, I serve a lot of Saudi Arabians. When Saudi Arabians come to Cape Town, they come to halal places, and that is where I work. I've saved a lot, and I understand Saudi Arabians very well because I've been serving them for many years, and most of them, they are wealthy, and God, they're beautiful. Both they are men and women. They're just and they are kind, and they are basically, they are good Muslims. Okay, they're very good Muslims, and they are convicted by the Quran. Therefore, they because of the Quran, it makes them to be, it forces them to be good people instead of being evil-minded people. You get what I'm saying? You see, so the Quran convicts them not to be evil people. So I know that I know Saudi Arabians. I've served them for many years. So I've got a clear understanding of what of their culture. Not that I've been there or whatever, but judging from the various interactions I've had with a lot of Saudi people, they are very smart and they're very clean, very very clean, super clean. I mean, super clean, and intelligent, business focused, and I think that as a nation, if we pivot towards the GCC nations, it is politically strategic than to focus more on the British or the Chinese or the Europe. I mean, the Europeans, the Russians or the Americans. All those people, even though the globe, it seems like the powers are with them, but I see the emerging power really in the global politics is GCC. And if the countries outside GCC, like in Africa, especially Africa, I would rather suggest that African nations look towards the influence of the GCC countries, because uh, they have been able to manage relations with the rest of the globe. If you look at the GCC, they have got relationships with Russia because of Russia is also part of OPEC. So they have got this relationship with OPEC countries like Venezuela, Nigeria, and stuff like that. So you will see that they are able to separate the politics and the economics, how countries run their lives. I mean, how people live socially. The Saudis are able to put a clear distinction that if we're dealing with oil, as far as OPEC is concerned, we're dealing with the oil industry. We're not looking at your human rights abuses and stuff like that, as we see with the Americans. So the problem I have with this so-called American exceptionalism is that whenever they want some economic advantage over your country, they will use things like human rights abuses, something that they would say again even in Saudi Arabia. Yet the average Saudi Arabian lives a lifestyle that is 20 times better than the average American. You get what I'm saying? So they will jail in all other things, religion, socially, the way the people socially live, and try to use all that to influence politically, to influence financially. So I, that is not a, that's not a good thing. I mean, that's not a good thing. I don't have a better word to use, but it's not a good thing. The the Saudis are able to separate that and deal with you even if you have what they call human rights abuses. But because really it's difficult to draw the line on human rights abuses. Some of the things is got to do with how people were brought up, how they are socialized within their country, you know their religions. People have got different religious persuasions, and you need to detect that it is theirs, it's not yours. No, so the Americans would like to push their religion on other people, not understanding that other people need to develop in their own religious way, the way that they are. You see the way that the Americans will attack the Muslim in religion by the burqa, the female who wear the burqa, and the fact that in Saudi Arabia they were limited female rights as opposed to Americans. But you do not know the context of Saudi Arabia, the context of that region, their history, how do their women feel that. So you see, the Americans have got this thing of imposing themselves on people, of which the GCC do not do that. And therefore, hence I'm saying, my point is that as African countries, it will be strategic also to be pro GCC and work with them, with look at Saudi Arabia with companies like Saudi Aramco, which have made that country very rich, and everybody else in Saudi Arabia benefits from the oil in Saudi Arabia. I mean, even across the whole GCC Gulf region. And you will see that in Zimbabwe we've got diamonds and mines. So if you have got a partner like Saudi, and I know, by the way, God told me that in Zimbabwe we are going to find oil, and I know that in Botswana also in the marshes there is oil. So with a company like Saudi Aramco, which has got experience with partnership with partners like that, who are religiously convicted because of their Islamic religion, to to be moralist, you understand, and they have, in the GCC countries, they have proven it, unlike in the Americans. In Americans, they are capitalists. Their capital system has benefited the bank stars who own the Federal Reserve, and the military industrial complex, and the big pharmaceutical industries that are actually milking the blood of the rest of the Americans who are poor and suffering, increasing the income inequality in the United States, and even in British and Europe. But if you look at the GCC countries, you will see that the income inequality gap, I have to check the figures, is less. The what is it, the GNI coefficient. Okay, so you will see that those guys in the Arab world, they have managed to run their communities well. They have jailed their communities well. There's a lot that we can learn from them, and partnering with people like that is taking the country in a good direction. You will need to work with people that have got some sort of a religious conviction. In the same breath as God is taking Zimbabwe in that kind of in that direction where there's a religious conviction, when religion, when moralism within our politics will cause the nation to prosper. You see, right now at the moment there is no moral compass in Zimbabwe. That is why people do as they please. That is why ZANU-PF has got a lot of corrupt people. And I was reading in the newspaper today the president is speaking about parastatals. You see, the problem with our parastatals, the corruption in our parastatals, is this thing in Zimbabwe, that the people below will say, those that are above are stealing. Why should we not steal? So you see, if Emerson Mnangagwa himself and Takurei and other people, they have got all these, they are running all these networks of siphoning resources of the country. When the Minister of Finance and the Reserve Bank governor, they've got friends who buy money, who buy forex cheaper at the Reserve Bank and sell at a higher price in the streets. And what makes you think that those below them will be inspired to be good? Because they do not see how their goodness will help. Because even if they do well, those that are on top will steal. Even if you pay taxes, those that you pay taxes to will steal. So people who also on the ground will not want to pay tax. You get a tax revolt, because they are saying to themselves, what is the purpose of paying tax if it is going to be stolen by those that are in power? So you do understand that morality has to start from the top, and the top will inspire all the way down to the bottom, for us to have a morally sound nation. So Emerson Mnangagwa can go around complaining about the parastatals, but he must start at home. He must start on himself. As the leader of the country, he must not be corrupt himself. There, number one. If you are not corrupt, say, as the president of Zimbabwe, and your ministers will learn from you, and you'll be able to purge corruption within your ministers themselves. Then the parastatals will find it difficult to be corrupt when we have got a good standing president with good standing cabinet. It will be difficult for any CEO. See, all those CEOs and parastatals, many of them, I realize that they are actually talented people. It's just that because of the lack of a moral compass in Zimbabwe, that talent is wasted away. They begin to do wrong things that they must not do because they have lost moral direction. They do have the scholarly abilities, the experience, yet the moral direction not there. Look at Finance Minister Mthweni Ncube. He has got experience in the economics field, in the banking field and finance field, yet the moral compass, Mthweni Ncube lacks the moral compass. You remember when he was in Barbican, he ran that company, that bank down, stealing people's funds, and then he went to South Africa and robbed some. I mean, he went to, I don't know what he was doing, and then he went to the African Development Bank, which was a good experience. But I guess there, the African Development Bank is difficult to steal. It's difficult to siphon funds, or maybe it is, but I do not know what goes on there. But it was no scandal. Then he comes back and becomes finance minister. Oh, the country goes down. You see. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say today about this Saudi pivot. I want to make another video again about what's happening locally. My name is Ngobani Zondo. Welcome to the Real Zondo Commission. Thank you very much for watching.